Prateek, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. For our viewers, can you please give a short introduction about yourself first?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Surya, for having me over here. And it's great to be a part of this series. So, I graduated from IIT Kanpur, and fresh out of college, I started my first startup. I am a second time entrepreneur now. My first startup was into real estate, which got acquired by Quika. I spent some time in real estate for some time, and uh, then decided to basically start something in education because of two reasons. One, because of the internship that I did during my college days in Teach for India, and second one, because I spent some time with Masai Mara tribe, the mighty Masai Mara. So that's how I believe that formal education in our country is completely broken and that needs changing. So that's how we started Masai, and that's a bit about me.
Perfect. Now, can you tell us a little more? I mean, that's very intriguing. What problem are you solving? You know, you said that educated formal education in our country is broken. So, what problem are you solving, and how are you solving it?
Okay. So, Masai School is India's largest outcome based education institute at the moment. What we do is we are transforming India's tech education by delivering assured outcomes at scale. We take students from all kind of background. It doesn't matter what kind of background they've come from, and then they go through a very intensive program. The best part is that we don't charge any upfront fees from our students. They go through the entire program, and once they are job ready and get a job, then only they pay us fees. So we first identify the right set of students, those who have high intent and high aptitude to be a part of the course. Then they go through a military style course, and then once they reach the outcome, then they pay us fees. So there is no upfront fees, and we are investing in our students, and that's how education system should be all about. That every education institute should basically place their bets on their students and make sure that they are successful first, before the education institute is successful. So that's what we do at Masai.
Terrific. So, if I were to summarize, you're basically taking kids from a whole variety of backgrounds and in a 7 month period through a rigorous training program, making them into competent software engineers. So, this is really interesting. You know, software development is at the core of generative AI and what it is that we want to talk about. So, tell me, how is the whole wave of Gen AI impacting your vision, your story, and your strategy, and how you've incorporated Gen AI into your business?
So Gen AI, as I keep saying, that Gen AI is as powerful an invention the or you can say innovation in the ecosystem, similar to the impact that we saw when electricity was invented. And this is something which is going to transform not just education but every industry that we can think of going forward. When it comes to education, what we believed when we started Masai was MOOCs were dead, and the second best place where everyone thought that this is how education should be is cohort based education. And that's when, now with generative AI, what we believe is cohort based education alone is also not going to basically make someone knowledgeable about the skill set that you are trying to teach them, or not going to be skilled alone. There has to be a personalized learning element, and that's where generative AI plays a very beautiful role, is specifically in the education. That cohort based education plus personalized learning should be the future of education, when it comes to outcome based education. And that is something which we are implementing it at different stages in Masai. When it comes to our students, we have extended our course curriculum by 5 weeks to teach them more about generative AI, so that they become prompt engineers. They can be tech agnostic developers, because that is what the expectation of the industry is going to be going forward, that people should be utilizing generative AI really well. And when it comes to the tech processes that we have, or all the other teams that we have built several solutions in order to ensure that our team is more productive, and also at the same point of time we are able to do more with less by leveraging generative AI. So We can deep dive into any of it, but yeah, it has multiple use cases across every level that
Okay.
we do in Masai.
So basically, you are using Gen AI not just in making your operations more efficient,
Yeah,
but also incorporated it into your pedagogy and learning, and ensuring that the graduates who come out of Masai School are
correct,
Gen AI capable and more efficient than what they used to be earlier, right? So
correct.
across the board, you have,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So, I mean, we remember we were discussing about the efficiency you have gained from, implementing Gen AI in your admissions process. Can you
Yeah.
give a little more detail and some of the dramatic efficiencies you have gained on that front?
Yes. So in Masai, specifically, since it is a pay after placement led funnel, that's why it is massive. Earlier, we had a big team who used to handle the admission process. By admission process, I mean there is an aptitude test, and then on the basis of aptitude test, there is a spoken English module as well, where you need to basically demonstrate that you can speak English, you can you can learn in English language, because that is something which is very important. Since we have only 8 9 months with our students, we want to ensure that they know basic English, uh, and that is something for which we had counselors earlier who used to test them out, who used to basically see that what is their capability level. Um then we have a documentation process where you basically upload your documents, and then you were part of Masai school. So that was the earlier process. The way we have incorporated generative AI in multiple places, and that's why the team, which was 15 at one point of time, have reduced to zero. And that doesn't mean that the team is now not with Masai, but they are more capable now, and they are actually taking up more responsibilities at Masai. So what we did was we basically integrated a lot of open source Gen AI based applications and some of the LLMs that are there already. And we ensure that the entire admission process, when you are giving test, when you are assessed on speaking English, when you are assessed on basically making sure that you understand majorly about how English is going to be taught, and all those things are captured through are built in into our admission process by using Whisper AI and by using a lot of LLMs. And as a result, now if you'll see. We have a test of 1 hour 15 minutes for our students, but if you sign up on Masai School website right now, give the test, then in 1 hour 30 minutes you will finish the entire process and you are enrolled into Masai without any human intervention. So that's
Wow.
one of the best use case that we have implemented so far.
So wonderful. So if I were to summarize, the application of Gen AI has given you process automation of your admissions process, where you
Correct.
are able to process tens of thousands of, 10, 15, 20,000 resumes every month, and
Yeah.
to select a small subset of that
Correct.
thousand that are to be
Yeah.
admitted. And then on the pedagogy and learning front, what this has given you is the ability to personalize at scale,
Correct.
right? So,
Yeah.
so rather than just a one size fits all cohort journey,
Yeah.
you have the ability to personalize at scale, right? And I think
Correct.
that's a benefit that education and skilling and training of all kinds will see, right? Masai is a
Correct.
case in a case in point. Did you face any challenges, roadblocks, or any of that in your thinking about this Gen AI and how to apply into different parts of your business?
So, when it comes to implementation in our day-to-day activities, so we have generative AI application not just in curriculum and tech alone. It has been utilized and it has been efficiently used across every domain. So, be it marketing domain, be it HR domain, be it finance domain, everywhere we use generative AI really, really rigorously. But when we started implementing it in our curriculum and our tech processes, at that point of time, for people those who are not techies, it sometimes feels daunting that it might require you to code, it might require you to basically um, um, uh, understand programming a bit, that's how you are going to leverage it. So people, it was daunting in the starting, but then we have made a lot of or we have done a lot of changes in terms of how we are going to implement it across each and every vertical, across each and every department, and help them in realizing that how productive you are going to be after utilizing this. For example, like our HR used to, whenever there is an application, there is a big process of writing JDs, basically making sure that how the applications are going to be processed. Now everything can be done through generative AI real fast. Similarly, when it comes to marketing, the copies that we are writing for every social media post or other things, that can be easily done through generative AI with the
Yeah.
right kind of prompt. So there are multiple use cases which I think now team is well versed with it, but it took some time. So there were some challenges in the starting.
And how did you navigate through those challenges? Were you sort of the as the founder and CEO of the company, the Gen AI champion, and sort of showing the possibilities, and at the same time assuring everybody that this is not about taking people out of their jobs, but to actually make them more productive and more efficient as individuals, but also make the company much more productive? How did you what kinds of conversations did you have on that front?
Surya, earlier I used to post it on our Slack channel, internal Slack channel, every now and then, that what more I did by using generative AI. But I felt like
So
for
you
me, the
personally,
education.
so you would sort of share with the team your
Yeah,
own personal journey of adopting Gen AI and
correct,
becoming more productive. That's very
correct.
interesting.
Yeah, but then it doesn't work like that, because it is more like spray and pray. So people think that Pratik knows programming, that's why he is able to do it, but we are not able to basically do it because we don't know we don't know programming. So what we did was, we asked every department heads to nominate one Enthu cutlet from their team. So we call it Enthu cutlet internally, that
Sure.
someone who is very enthusiastic about new things, who has learning mindset. Just nominate one person. It could be a very junior person, and then we have formed a generative AI champions team, which is mentored by me personally. From every department, there is one person. They bring every week one problem statement from their department. Uh, we work collaboratively by using Gen AI. How can we solve that problem? They learn it, and then they go back to their team and departments and implement those same things and teach all the other folks on how it can be utilized for their own advantages.
Oh, fantastic. So you had a cross-functional
Yeah,
Gen AI war room or a Gen AI championship team, and
correct,
they would bring problems from their own departments, and then you will collectively solve it
correct.
using Gen AI. They would take it back to their departments and show a better way of doing it, and
Exactly,
then use that to evangelize Gen AI within their departments.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
fantastic. So now coming sort of along those lines, I know for a fact that you guys have done a lot of work and you've been at the cutting edge of adopting Gen AI across your businesses, across the entire business, from your operations, your pedagogy to learning and so on and so forth. What advice would you give to other startups that are embarking on a similar journey or on a similar journey? So one of these is this sort of cross-functional Gen AI champion team. What are the other things you would recommend for them to make this journey easier and also more productive and faster and so on?
I think the second biggest thing that everyone who is looking to utilize generative AI in their own companies is, um, as soon as you understand the use cases and as soon as you did a POC and identified that this is something which is working out, uh, move from cloud to physical servers, because that is one big learning that we had. We have physical servers now in Masai, specifically for generative AI, because
But
otherwise,
before we go there,
yeah.
what was the methodology you used to identify and prioritize use cases? Because that's the most important first step that people need to take, right? To really understand the processes within their organization, figure out
Yeah.
where Gen AI could apply and what could be the benefit. So how did you go about doing that?
So any task that is repetitive in nature, and we tend to basically do a lot of tasks which are repetitive in nature, be it on a short term horizon, be it on a slightly long term horizon. So in our case, um, even if the task is not getting repeated on a daily basis, but on a 5 week, which is our unit level, every 5 weeks things are repeating in nature, correct?
Yeah.
And there are multiple things wherever you find repetition that can be solved through generative AI, and that's the only thing that we always look for, that whenever there is any repetition that is going to come any department, that's a use case. Now you need to figure out how to solve it, and whether it is optimized from a cost perspective or not, that's a different thing altogether, but that is the use case. Then you can do a small POC to identify that this is something which is going to work.
Okay. And how long did it take for for you to go from a identifying a use case, figuring out how Gen AI could be applied there to a POC and then to production? How many such things have happened? Such journeys have happened in your business?
Around 50 journeys have happened like
Oh
that.
wow,
Yeah.
terrific.
So we have identified a lot of use cases. So the starting point for this was very interesting. So what we did was, we earlier were on a hybrid mode, and uh, our tech team always used to work remotely. So what we did was, when GenAI was actually like becoming popular, at that point of time we did a all team hackathon for 5 days. We gave all our students 5 days break, that there is not going to be any classes, there is not going to be anything, and we called everyone to Bangalore. And there was a hackathon for 5 days. No one slept, or barely slept for like an hour or so every day. And they have identified a lot of problem statements in Masai which can be solved through generative AI. And when collectively there are hundreds of problem statements which are in front of you, which can be solved, and they have also built POCs around that. So the first 15 POCs were built during the Gen AI hackathon itself, and that is something which we identified that this is something which can be scaled now. And these POCs are really promising. So
Terrific.
that was the starting point for us, and then we did similar sort of things, but not at a 5 day level, but uh, one day no one is basically working on anything, just identifying use cases and solving it.
So I'll come back to your point about physical servers, but you made a very interesting observation here. You basically used your student base to generate ideas for you, right? And so, talking about your students who are now armed with prompt engineering and Gen AI skills, have you seen a response from employers, early response from employers in terms of yes, you guys are on the right path. You're doing we are happy and glad that you have enhanced your curriculum and introduced Gen AI, and does it make our graduates more desirable in the job market?
Yeah, the first use case was when the first batch of generative AI graduated. Within the
Mhm.
first week of graduation itself, around 30% of the batch got placed.
Wow.
And everyone were hiring not for the same tech stack that we have taught them, but for different tech stacks. And
Right.
these people were able to utilize it. Although it's still very early from the org perspective, from hiring partners perspective, to comment on it. But yes, I think everyone is pretty enthusiastic about the fact that people can now code in multiple languages, can now understand multiple frameworks, can basically deep dive into it, and probably not just know programming alone, but
Yeah.
can communicate really well, can also at the same point of time can understand the basic nuances of design, product, and other things, because this is something which is very important. So a role of a developer or role of a data analyst person is not just to basically know something about their field, but also about all the stakeholders that they are going to manage when they are going to
Yeah.
be part of the organization.
Yeah.
And this is something which is part of the learning piece that we do it from a curriculum perspective for all our students.
Yeah, yeah. So this is very interesting. It goes to the statement several people have made that you will not be replaced by Gen AI, but you will be replaced by an engineer or a person who can use Gen AI well. So I think by introducing Gen AI into our curriculum and training your students on Gen AI, you make them that much more valuable, right? And more efficient and so on. So let's go back to the point about physical servers that you're making. Let complete the story on what advice and guidance you would give to other folks in both the Capria community and elsewhere who are embarking or are already on a similar journey?
Yeah, so the cost per API calls, when you basically like the POC. So from a POC perspective, I think it can be very well used on cloud. But when you realize that there are certain things that needs to be that needs scaling, okay, and from that perspective, the cost per call is something which shoots up real fast, and you need to basically put those filters. Otherwise, it can, like, suddenly you get a credit card bill of in lakhs, which depending on how people are going to utilize it, how people are going to basically make calls through API, how many times the API call happens, you're basically going to get charged on it. So that's when we realized that you need
And you guys have been using OpenAI's GPT-4 or 3.5, or what have you guys been using?
GPT-4 is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
We have trained GPT 3.5.
So, so you are basically using GPT 3.5, and you have done some fine tuning on top of that.
Yes, yes, we have
Okay.
done a lot of it, and then we also use a lot of other LLMs like Llama 2,
Got it. Got it.
and a couple of other APIs as well.
Okay.
Having a physical server will help you in basically start uh, getting the right kind of responses from the prompts, and start storing in, and start basically. This is the starting journey for any organization who wants to build their own LLMs in future. So from that perspective, the cost optimization is massive, and that is something which we have figured out. So yeah, like anyone who saw the use cases and now wants to implement it at scale, my advice to them is, don't do it on cloud. Start building physical servers.
Got it. Got it. And do you also, in your product management and product development and engineering team, have you strengthened those by hiring new folks who are Gen AI experts, or you basically said, look, this is not a specialty. Everybody needs to know this, so everyone needs to become an expert in this. What path have you taken?
Everyone should become an expert in this,
I
the
see.
second path. And also at the same point of time, I think it starts from it has to be a top down approach. So if my take is very simple over here, Surya, that if the organization is going to grow in terms of revenue, and you don't need to basically increase your manpower much, and comparative to the amount of to the level at which organization is growing, then you are utilizing the native AI really well. Otherwise, it's very difficult that you're not utilizing it. So
Yeah.
making everyone champion on Gen AI is something which should be the priorities for every organization.
And how has the organization? It's been a few months. I know we've been working together. How has the team, different teams, responded to it over time? It's been a few months now. Are they all now comfortable with the fact that Gen AI is going to be a critical part of our strategy going forward? And it's incorporated into the thinking from the get go, as opposed to being, okay, this is what we do, and now let's see how Gen AI can be applied to it, as opposed to thinking of projects and ideas and proposals with Gen AI built in from the ground up.
Yeah, so Surya, like, you'll hear in all our meetings that people who earlier used to take basically, who used to say that I'm going to get back to you, are now saying that let's do it right away.
Okay.
Like, for example, there is a data, and if you'll ask them that what is the insight that you're thinking which is coming out from this data, you automatically use data interpreter on GPT-4 and get the insights then and
Yeah.
there itself with the right kind of prompts. And this is the thought process change. Things can be done right now rather than waiting for it, or taking days time or weeks time to get it done. And that is the thought process which everyone is having. So you can get more, far more than what you were expecting earlier. And it is not possible if you have very few people, those who understand Gen AI use cases, and are asking your team to basically do it. It has to
That's
come
true.
naturally from them.
Exactly, exactly. Now, so how do you see this journey unfolding? I know the future is things are moving crazily fast, but in terms of Masai's own journey with Gen AI, given our business model and our priorities and our challenges, what do you see down the pike in the next 3, 6, 12 months?
I think this is going to be a very interesting ride in next 12 months, where the use cases, there are still a lot of LLMs that we are using are still at a very early stages, and as more and more population is basically start using it, it is going to be trained more and more. And I fundamentally believe, since the time I saw what Gen AI can do, personalized learning is going to be the future. Uh, and how we can do it at scale is the answer to that is generative AI. So there are a lot of interesting applications that you will start seeing for public from Masai. Like for example, our virtual interviewer. It is something which is like a big hit in every colleges that we have taken it to, because everyone wants to basically give interviews, but they don't have people available to take mock interviews, correct?
Right.
Now with this is something which is live available in whatever voice that you want them to interview on. And similar to that, there are multiple things that are so it's quite interesting times at Masai, and I think you will see that how we can basically scale in every aspect without um um without basically increasing our cost or expenses
Yeah.
significantly, but at the same point of time doing more with less, and that is something which is going to be available for everyone to see in next 12 months.
So one of the things, Prateek, is that things are changing very fast.
Yeah.
Right? Just this week, we had an OpenAI conference where
Correct.
GPT-4 Plus was
Correct.
announced, and you can build your own GPTs, right, with
Correct.
their own persona and own sort of verticals,
Yeah.
areas, and so on. So, in such a situation, how do you ensure that you are not making business and architectural decisions that are not hard that are hardwired and not easy to unravel as tech moves so at such a breathtaking pace? What have you done, and what advice would you give to your fellow founders on that front?
So I think one of the most important thing is that one of your founder needs to be constantly looking at what is happening, who should have the entire business context. If that is not the case, then it is something which, because we are so engrossed in our day-to-day operations, we don't
Right.
know what is happening across everywhere. Specifically in Gen AI, and second important thing is there is a lot of updates around what is going to happen. You'll start getting those updates real fast on open source platforms, pre like prior to when it is out in public, correct?
Right.
So you need to keep a close watch on that. At the same point of time, you need to have your problem statements really thought through, or you should know about your problem statements that you want, where your team's maximum time is going, and which is repetitive in nature. So rather than first innovating on the top of generative AI, first see how you can ensure or how you can drive more and more efficiencies for your existing processes.
Right.
Once that battle is done, and if you are PMF, I'm assuming that if you have already figured out your PMF, so that is the first objective. And on the second objective is that how you can innovate more by using Gen AI. So that's the second piece. People tend to basically think about second piece first,
Yeah.
then solving their existing challenges. So for that, every information is available, and you need to have one co-founder, one founder to be basically looking at this, or have a constant eye on what is happening around us. And
And most importantly, I think it's also about attitude, in the sense that we have to embrace this proactively with a
yeah,
sense of enthusiasm
correct,
and the positive change it can bring about in one's business,
correct,
and not emanating from fear as a reaction, right?
correct,
It
correct,
should be and I think as a leader and as a founder, you have to radiate that energy, that positive energy, that
correct.
Gen AI can be harnessed to
Hmm.
build a better business. And
Correct.
it is not a defensive, reactive kind of thing that we are doing, right? So I think that's very important for founders to project. credibly with their teams, right? One of the objectives of these podcasts is to really share information and insights and make sure that the whole entire community is learning from one another. So if there is any other insight you would like to share with your fellow founders, please do so.
So I think Surya, you summarized it really well. I think we need to basically be more proactive than rather than reactive, and also at the same point of time, we need to understand that there is a significant change. It is similar to when internet was first introduced. Correct? It is similar to that kind of a innovation that is happening around us, and everyone can utilize it for their own advantages. It's about how you are thinking about it and how you are solving it. So everyone needs to basically keep an open mind and have a learning mindset for what is going to basically be available in front of us. So yeah.
Terrific. Terrific. Thank you so much. Now let's start this end this episode with a little humor, which is our practice. So, given that you are in the programming business, we asked ChatGPT a joke about computer programming. So here it goes, and I would like you to answer that. So we asked ChatGPT, why was the computer cold? Can you guess an answer? The answer it came back with.
Why was the computer cold?
Why
Uh,
was the computer cold?
because it was next to the server room.
No, then it would be hot.
No, no, no. So server room needs to be cold because under
Needs to be cold.
yes.
No, try again. It came back with a nicer answer, actually, funnier answer.
Yeah.
One
Okay.
more guess, and then I'll give you the answer.
Is the computer cold? Nice. Probably someone left it in their refrigerator or something.
No.
Probably.
Why was the computer cold? The answer it came back with is because it left its windows open.
Oh wow, nice, nice.
Nice. Well, that's the end of our episode. Thanks, Pratik, for joining us. Really appreciate it, and really, really excited about how you're leveraging Gen AI in your entire business. In fact, you're one of the leaders on that front. I'm really glad that you could find time to come on this show, and I'm sure it will be very helpful for the rest of our founders, both in India and elsewhere. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Surya,
Take
for
care.
having me.
Yeah.
And
And for our viewers, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back soon with the next episode of our show.